Well, I've had a pretty successful free hit in Game Week 34. I've scored 88 points and I'm up to 29k overall. And here are my transfer plans for Game Week 35. So starting off then, we'll have a look through how my team got on in Game Week 34. Like I said, 88 points up to 29k overall. Although I'm a little bit concerned that bonus points might not quite go my way and something happens there. But anyway, so far, that's where I am. Defense did really well. Really pleased with the defense. I could have maybe squeezed a little bit more out of it if I went for Jose Sarr and started Sessegnon. Obviously, Sessegnon scored against Southampton, scored 11 points. Did he get subbed before they conceded? Something like that? I don't know. But anyway, he got the 11 points. I could have gone for Jose Sarr over Nick Pope, but I just felt the Newcastle were more likely than Wolves to keep a clean sheet. And yeah, I don't want to use the word luck to describe it, right? Because managers that picked the likes of Jose Sarr, started Sessegnon, etc., fair enough. But Sessegnon started the game at left back and he still ended up scoring a goal. And a penalty save, you know, I don't want to use the word lucky, but they don't happen every week, right? They're certainly not something you can predict, apart from Let's Talk FPL Andy, who did predict that Jose Sarr would save a penalty in fairness. But do you know what I mean? Like, I went for the goalkeeper that I thought was most likely to keep a clean sheet. He kept the clean sheet, got 6 points. I picked Cucurella as well over Sessegnon because I felt the clean sheet was a little bit safer. I quite liked the kind of attacking positions that he was picking up, has been picking up recently for Chelsea, and I liked his minutes. So yeah, came away with a clean sheet. No attacking returns, but I'll take that. 2 assists and a clean sheet, and I think some bonus points there for Trippier. I haven't owned him at all this season. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I had Trippier for substantial parts of last season and the season before, but this season, I haven't touched him in my team once yet. Yeah, 2 assists and a clean sheet for him. Aït-Nouri, assisting clean sheet for him as well. He had a good game. Good game against Leicester. Really pleased with that. Salah, his goal, some bonus points. 16 points for him. Goal for Luis Diaz as well. Obviously, Liverpool confirming the Premier League title win this weekend against Tottenham. Palmer, yeah, why did I pick Cole Palmer, man? I knew in the back of my mind that he'd be disappointing. He was disappointing. And I knew that the form that he was in, I didn't expect him to do all that well against Everton. And for some reason, I still picked him. I don't know what I was playing at, really. Maybe I was playing the ownership. And quite honestly, I didn't foresee another player out. I didn't see that many other players that could outscore him. The only other kind of midfielder I was considering, maybe going for someone like Iwobi, or maybe going for Mbeumo. You know, Mbeumo obviously still to play Nottingham Forest this week, so yeah, my rank could get slightly affected by that. But I thought Nottingham Forest away, that's a tough fixture. I just didn't fancy Mbeumo in that game, so I went for Cole Palmer. What it is. Cliver, at the time that he was subbed off, he was keeping a clean sheet against Man United, so he scored 3 points, but got a yellow card down to 2. A little bit disappointed in Bournemouth in that game. They kind of have. I'd say that game, the fact they couldn't beat Man United at home, kind of cements the fact that their form has definitely dipped. And I don't quite think they're the Bournemouth when, well, certainly the Bournemouth that how they were playing earlier on in the season when everyone was buying their assets in FPL. Right side of that, we got Cunha, a goal, 2 assists. Really happy with that. I'm really glad I played my free hit because I don't own Cunha at the moment. Spoiler alert, because I'm going to show you my team next. I don't own Cunha at the moment, so alongside quite a few other players in there that I don't actually own in my team, I think the free hit definitely paid off. Raul Jimenez, well, he didn't get anything, obviously, against Southampton. If you watched my deadline stream, I was chopping and changing between Raul Jimenez and Evan Nilsson, and I ended up going for Raul Jimenez because of the easier fixture, and I certainly didn't predict Evan Nilsson to pick up a red card, and it's a dubious red card at that. I do think the suspension could get overturned, but yeah, I guess makes no difference really between the two. And then Isak with a goal from a penalty. Hopefully that penalty goal gives him a little bit of confidence because his form had dipped a little bit going into that game. So take that. Trent with an assist, Iwobi with an assist, and obviously Sessegnon with that goal. I had Sessegnon in my starting 11 right up until the deadline stream, and then I kind of I bottled it basically because I was just worried about his minutes. You know, I didn't want to pick a player whose minutes I couldn't be sure of. And with the returning Harry Wilson, I think Adama Traore was back fit as well. I just didn't know if if Sessegnon would play. And, well, I saw the Fulham team and I saw him in defence. And then I saw Southampton open the score and I was like, oh, yeah, I've made a good decision here. And obviously, didn't quite play out. But, yeah, that's the team. I'm not complaining. You know, 88 points, 29k overall. Pretty good going. So back down to earth with how my team actually looks at the moment. And, well, I don't think it's actually all that bad. Now, we have, and I'll talk about exactly the state of this in a second, latest status we have on fixtures. But this is how my team is looking at the moment. So we've got Raya and Saliba double up against Bournemouth. Actually, I don't mind Arsenal's chances here against Bournemouth to keep a clean sheet. You know, Bournemouth have definitely dipped in form recently. Arsenal have been absolutely unbelievable defensively so far this season. Well, so far, you know, over the last sort of few months. Yeah, I quite like the thoughts of a clean sheet there. Munoz against Nottingham Forest at home. A little bit mixed on him, but I think he could be better than Dan Burn and Consom, my other two alternatives. And then I got Guardiola versus Wolves. Relatively hopeful. Man City could do something there. And obviously he scored a goal against Forest in the FA Cup. So maybe he's going to have some goal scoring confidence going into that game. Salah, Saka, Murphy and Rodgers in my midfield. I think I'm going to bench Ismaila Sarr against Nottingham Forest. I think that's the right player. I do think Rodgers and Murphy are probably just that bit stronger. I'm a little bit worried about Saka. Will he start? And, you know, the fixtures are not that great afterwards as well. They obviously play Bournemouth and they got Liverpool away, Newcastle at home after that. Albeit, obviously, Liverpool. We don't know what kind of position they're going to be in after this game because they've just won the league. So, yeah, I'm a little bit in two minds as to what to do with Saka. Obviously, that's the lineup for the midfield. And then we got Isak, Marmoush and Mateta up front. Decent front three. Very happy to keep those. And we've obviously got some potential double game weeks coming up for those players as well. The one decision, though, this week, the expected points, according to Fantasy Football Hub, where I put this team together, have it as Salah, right? But I do think he might not necessarily be the best captain next week. All I know he scored in game week 34, but his form has dipped a little bit, you know, in this sort of period. I think Chelsea away, after winning the league, is a fixture where Liverpool could drop the ball a little bit. And I think I'll look at another player on my team. Actually, rather than talk about another player on my team, I'll just look at the expected points sources that I like to use. So we've got Fantasy Football Hub on the left and FPL Review on the right. So Fantasy Football Hub have a top 5 in terms of expected points. Salah number 1, Saka number 2, Palmer, Isak and Bumo. Obviously these are predicting that each of these players start, right? And then we got FPL Review, who actually have Mbumo top with Man United. Second is Marmoush. Third is Salah. It's how rarely do you see Salah third on a list of expected points in a game week, right? I think just that alone suggests that maybe there's an alternative. And you've got Vardy, interestingly, Cole Palmer. So yeah, that captaincy is a little bit interesting next week. And I'm looking at my team and I'm thinking, quite like the look of Isak. You know, Newcastle still have something to play for. Obviously qualifying for the Champions League and battling right to the end of the season. And I do think the Brighton fixture is better than Chelsea for Salah. So yeah, I think I might be captaining Isak next week. Obviously, it's just an early sort of mutterings about my transfer plans, but considering how my team looks, not sure how good of a captain Salah's going to be next week. So yeah, I think I might give it to Isak. Okay then, and finally, we've got a tweet from Ben Crellin, right? He is the absolute fixtures guru when it comes to FPL, right? I would also do a shout out to Planet FPL James and Talon Nadeem as well, who do also fantastic. You can find them all on X, Twitter. They all do fantastic sort of fixture predictions. But this is the latest we have from Ben Crellin. Now, I'm recording this video on Sunday night, and it's actually going to go out for non-members on Monday afternoon. So we could have everything confirmed by that time, at which point this will all just be null and void. But with the way the FA Cup semi-finals are played out, right? Man City, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace and Wolves, they will move from the weekend of Game Week 37 either to the midweek of 36 or the midweek of Game Week 37, right? And the midweek of Game Week 37, he admits, is probably more likely. So that suggests that there might not be a double game week after all in Game Week 36. These fixtures could just move from that weekend to the midweek. So that kind of defeats a double game week in 36 for those teams. Spurs have also put in a request that their game versus Villa gets moved from the weekend of 37 to the midweek of 36. So they don't play before the Europa League final, basically. Chelsea v Man United is scheduled on the Friday, so that won't need to move, but their obviously fixture is on Sunday, which, yeah, the Sunday, which is a little bit close. You know, Sunday, Monday to Tuesday, and then they play the Europa League on final, potentially on Wednesday. That's a bit tough. That obviously coincides with Spurs getting to Europa League final, though. But what this does mean, depending on how those FA Cup finalists fixtures play out, we could have a rather large double game week in 36. Spurs playing Crystal Palace and Villa. Villa playing Bournemouth and Tottenham. City playing Southampton and Bournemouth. Bournemouth playing Villa and Man City. Palace playing Tottenham and Wolves. And Wolves playing Brighton and Crystal Palace. Now, it's looking like Ben thinks that we're going to get that confirmation before the Game Week 35 deadline. So quite simply, it's a case of sit on your hands and wait and see if we get that news and when we get that news, right? Because I look at this team. All of these teams, Spurs, Villa, City, Bournemouth, Palace, Wolves, I've got a fair amount of all of these players in my team. And I'm quite happy with the state of it, if obviously the doubles play out in that way. Ben Crennan is predicting, though, that quite a lot of those games, certainly the FA Cup finalist games, get moved to the midweek of 37. And then in that case, there won't be a double. So yeah, it is just something to think about. And I'll go back to the captaincy as well for Game Week 37. Well, Game Week 35. And I'm looking at the FPL review expected points, and I just don't remember, unless there was a double game week for other players and not Salah, I don't remember a time where Salah hasn't been clearly the best captain according to their expected points. And I think it means something that Mbeumo is there. I think the fixture is good against Man United. And, well, you can see my team. I'm just going to flip back to my team. I don't have him. So I could quite easily go from Saka to Mbeumo. But I won't do that until we know what the fixtures are looking like. Because, you know, I could potentially be buying a player that doesn't double. Does that make sense? So, yeah. For the time being, I think I'm going to leave my team as it is. Isak at the moment, I think, is going to be my captain. You know, this is a one in sort of 38 game weeks, really, where Salah probably isn't the best captain, even on a single game week. In my opinion, I think you could go elsewhere. I probably will go elsewhere. And then it's a question of who do I bring in? I think if the doubles play out, the most likely scenario that Ben Crellin described there with, what was that? All of those FA Cup finalists playing in game week 37 rather than twice in 36 and blanking in 37. I could see myself buying Mbeumo for Saka. But right now, I'm just going to leave my team as it is. Sit on my hand, wait for the transfers. Oh, sorry, wait for the transfers. Wait for the fixtures. But yeah, those are my transfer plans as it stands. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. Sorry that I'm not, like, thinking about ripping up my team and making multiple transfers. But it's just the nature of the game at the moment. I think my team's pretty good. And it all kind of depends on how the fixtures land if they do get announced on Monday. Now, I'm away with work tomorrow, so if the video goes out and stuff has happened with the fixtures, just going to have to roll with it. But I think I've kept it relatively generic there, where you can kind of guess where I'm thinking with my team, depending on the announcements and how they go. So yeah, Mbeumo, if the double game week in 36 doesn't happen. If the double game week in 36 does happen, then I think I need to rethink a little bit. But yeah, I think that's everything. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave me a like rating. And if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate... Actually, before that, let me know in the comments if there's any changes you'd make to my team. I think I'm kind of on top of the possibly best transfers I can make. But there might be other options. Yeah, let me know if you can think of any others in the comments. And yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. It should be just here on your screen. And if you want to, I don't really say this very often, but if you want early access to all of my videos, like I said, I'm recording this on Sunday night. This will go out on Monday afternoon. You get a whole almost 24 hours early access to this video if you join the channel as a member. So potentially consider doing that. And obviously subscribe here on your screen. All right, that's everything. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.